Environmentalists blame increased poverty rate in some part of Cameroon on poor farming methods, including the introduction of harsh chemicals in farms and the rise in ocean pollution. These environmental hazards, they say, have caused food shortage in the country. In this newscast, we bring to you greater details and more. Good evening and thank you for choosing High Television to be informed. I am Cynthia Latu. Some farmers in the southwest region have been called upon to engage in best environmental practices in order to conserve the soil and the ocean. The urge was made by environmentalist Yomba Jose, who also encouraged all to play a great role in environmental protection. Details with Alice Kamili here.
It is a fact that human activities are affecting the environment negatively. Recently, the world has been facing different types of natural disasters, claiming lives. Most importantly, farming, which is one of the areas many are advised to venture into for posterity, is affecting the soil negatively as a result of poor practices.
Some of us farmers go into the farms and we burn. And when we burn, what happens to the soil? The microorganisms that are found in the soil, which are supposed to produce the nutrients for these soils, are being destroyed. There are trees that produce a lot of nutrients for the soil during decomposition. When we burn these trees, when we cut them down and burn them, at the end of the day, we are reducing the amount of nutrients that go to the soil. And there are certain farming practices where people call them the slash and burn. As you cut them, you burn. At the end of the day, the soil fertility reduces. And once the soil fertility reduces, you don't expect the crop yield to be high.
The dumping of plastic in waterways that gets into the ocean and endangers the marine life in the long run, causing poverty. It is therefore the responsibility for all to engage in best environmental practices, protecting the soil and the ocean, hence reduce the rate of poverty in our communities.
The waterways are concerned, a lot of actions that are being carried out in the communities most of the times are not sustainable. Imagine a lot of persons today, they consume contents from their plastic and then they dump these plastic bottles anyhow. And of course, once you have these plastics in the seas and oceans, it is great danger to marine life. More often than not, the plastics are being indigested by the marine life. Fish get to swallow these plastics, and once they indigest this, there's no way they can survive and they keep dying. And that is why you find out that those who are actually doing the exploitation of the seas and oceans for fish, they will not have a good harvest. And once this doesn't happen, you discover that those women who basically are roasting fish to make a living don't have the fish. And that is how the turnover reduces.
It is therefore the responsibility for all to engage in best environmental practices, protecting the soil and the ocean, hence reduce the rate of poverty in our communities.
Poor kitchen hygiene often leads to the infection of communicable diseases. In the upcoming report, student nurses from the University of Boya caution the public on the dangers of picking up bacterials from the kitchen. Alice Kamelik here reports.
Health being a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being void of diseases or infirmity is a very important aspect in our lives, as little or nothing can be done when in a state of ill health. So, it is vital to be cautious about one's health and take steps to prevent illness and diseases. Improving and maintaining a healthy lifestyle involves aborting certain habits or practices in our daily routines, which over time leads to infection or diseases. One of such is keeping our environments clean, most especially kitchens and toilets.
When you're finished from the kitchen, ensure that you always clean the surroundings, clean the surfaces. Then your plates too. There's a way that we wash plates and we just air them. We just put them anyhow. We just expose them. Yes. Some people don't want to put them under the sun. Like when they're done washing, they drain it there before putting it. So the container, the basket, or whatever you use to preserve your plate, it should be clean as well. And when you take them, you can still use a clean tissue. You clean the plates before you serve people. The spoons as well. You ensure that all those things are clean. Then Don't forget the windows too. Your windows in the kitchen. From time to time during the dressing, you have to clean the windows, the louvers, because you'll be dusty, you'll be cooking, things are entering and leaving. Make sure that I'm talking in the modern kitchen. You're supposed to cook the food. You wash the pot, you wash it well, ensure that it is clean. You don't just rinse it and people are heavily do the rinsing and just put the food in it. Even your gas plates, if you're using in the morning kitchen where you're using your gas cooker, it should be clean. You should clean it with soap and water. This is what I do at home. Before I cook, I clean the gas plate. When I'm done, I still clean the gas plate. It should always be clean.
The activity of preparing a meal involves trash. If not properly handled or disposed, later attracts flies, which feed on these trash and transmits vectors into food, water, and more. In order to avoid communicable diseases from these flies, everyone is urged to properly dispose trash, wipe up spills of food or drinks, scrub the sinks, and more. These and more all contribute to a healthy environment void of insects and lower risks of being infected.
Was Rita Mafani reporting. Still in health, 331,200 doses of malaria vaccine Mosquirix RTS will be introduced in Cameroon from January 22, 2024. In the southwest region, 3 health districts in Limbe, Tiko, and Mamfe have been selected to administer the vaccine in the health exercise target children from 0 to 5 years old, as we hear in the following report.
Malaria is a significant public health problem in Cameroon, and Cameroon is one of the 11 countries that bears almost 70% of the burden of the disease alone. In a bid to give all children living in Cameroon an equal chance of being protected against malaria, the malaria vaccine Mosquirix has been introduced into the routine EPI.
The vaccine against malaria is an additional tool that has been put in place by the government to fight malaria in the country. We know that malaria is one of the diseases that has a very high morbidity and mortality in Cameroon, but also in Africa. According to statistics, Cameroon is identified as one of 11 countries that are responsible for 70% of the malaria burden globally. Therefore, it's very important to use all strategies, and in this case, an additional strategy that would further contribute to reducing morbidity and mortality among children who are aged between 0 to 5 years, who constitute the majority of the population that is affected by this endemic disease.
3 health districts have been selected in the southwest region to administer the vaccine.
Health districts because the malaria vaccine has, or the strategy for rolling out the malaria vaccine is a phased kind of approach which focuses on areas that have high incidence and also have high transmission in the country, and the southwest region in particular. In the country, 42 priority health districts have been identified, and in the southwest region we have 3, namely Mamfe, Tiko, and Limbe health districts.
The vaccine will be administered to children from 0 to 5 years.
As earlier mentioned, is for children who are below the age of 5 years, who constitute the high burden as concerns malaria in the country. By the way, they are responsible for about 70% of deaths as concerns malaria. So the vaccine will be administered at 6 months, at 7 months, at 9 months, and 1 year later at 24 months within a 4-dose regimen.
It is a fact that 30 out of 100 patients who go to the hospital on a daily basis are tested positive for malaria. And so, it is important for parents to take their children to the various health centers in Limbe, Mamfe, and Tiko to be vaccinated.
Away from health, some 44 notables have been installed in the first-class chiefdom of Boya. The recent exercise was carried out by His Royal Majesty King Robert Isuka Endele, who said that the sons and daughters of the land had shown interest in community development. Details once again with Alice Kamelik here.
Please put your hands together.
Following their contribution towards the growth of various communities and Buea municipality as a whole, the Buea Town Chiefdom, having as head the paramount ruler of Buea, Chief Dr. Robert Esukambela Indeli, together with his members of the Buea Rural Traditional Council, have this Saturday, January 6, installed some notables and distinguished mothers of the palace.
Please put your hands together for him.
After identifying what they have been doing in various communities, position of responsibility was given to them.
It's a very important ceremony in the history of our people's soul. It's important that we make this particularly important fine selection of members of our community who have been there's a lot of contribution to the expectors.
Very more deserving Faku persons to be a notable in the paramount chiefdom of Buea. I want to say very sincerely that I'm thankful to His Royal Majesty Chief Dr. Robert Esukambela Indeli, and I think one of the things that comes across with this distinction is that, you never throw peelings on a fertile land like the Faku lands. And
they are responsible to protect the best interests of the chiefdom, independently involved in transforming the chiefdom objectives to action and more. The dual ceremony also witnessed a fundraising for the construction of the Faku Multipurpose Cultural Center.
It's a call for us to make it even much more better with our community, particularly Buea as a whole, and therefore in that way we contributing to make Cameroon a better place.
It's a huge responsibility for most of us, and we think we can handle that responsibility.
The event was a colorful one.
You're watching the 8 p.m. newscast on High Television, and we're broadcasting live from Buea. The festive period often comes with a series of financial expenses. The aftermath generally dawns with a series of financial challenges. In the Vox Pop that comes up, some inhabitants of Buea point out to some survival strategies. Let's follow on.
My observation is that, just like you said, a lot of people are crying. There's poverty all over the place. A lot of businesses are very slow, and people don't know what to do. But a wise counsel that I will give is that people don't need to put all their eggs in one basket. What I mean is that we need to be proactive, to foresee. This is where visionary leaders come in. If you're a man of vision, you need to look ahead. What is going to happen after the festive period, so that you'll be able to make sure that you keep property that will help you, or finances or resources that will help you to carry on in the new year.
First of all, permit me to say that people spend a lot of money during these festive periods, and depending on their financial strength, the financial power, so many of them are actually down financially now. But one of the advice I wish to give is that people should plan their lives, plan this festive period, because it is something which is happening every year. In as much as the means are not there, people should be able to spend judiciously, spend little, and be able to keep something for the month of January, because the month of January is always referred to as a very long month. So don't spend carelessly, don't spend anyhow. Be able to keep some money for January. I know many people are really financially down, and it's not very easy for them, but the wisdom behind all this is that you should spend wisely during December period. Don't spend anyhow, Christmas is like the same day that you live from January to December. Just cook moderate, buy moderate drinks and share with friends and be able to keep something for the month of January so that you should not fall prey into the issue of being financially stressed and financially down during the month of January.
Yeah, actually it's very difficult because of the feasting period. People put in a lot of money for the feasting period. January observing, I've just realized that people are in difficulties now. It's just by faith. God is just helping like people of God. But the difficulties, if you move around, you see even businesses are slow. A lot of things are slow because it happens every year. After feasting, January, people say things are difficult, and it's actually true. I think to me now, I'm praying that next year or in feasting time, people should reduce their expenditures because these are the cause of the poverty in January. During those periods in December, people spend a lot, and January has been difficult just because. So people should reduce the way of expenditure. And like you asked, how do you look at it observantly? I'm observing, I'm seeing families, I'm seeing even the town itself is showing to you that January is really difficult. And so I think it's a true fact that January is always difficult because of the feasting time. So I think that we should only try to adjust it so that we shouldn't have difficult Januaries.
Let's now move across our national borders. A diplomatic row between Burundi and Rwanda have taken a new front as Burundi recently closed its borders with its neighbor Rwanda. Aisha Bank tells us more.
The latest follows accusations from Burundi to Rwanda for funding rebel attacks. Burundian President Evariste Ndayishimiye made the accusation in December after 20 people were killed near Burundi's border with the Democratic Republic of Congo. Rwanda President Paul Kagame denies the charge. His government has responded to the order closure, saying that it regrets the unilateral closure of the border by Burundi. Admitted to carrying out the December attack, but said they killed 9 soldiers and 1 police officer. The Burundian rebel group operates from DR Congo South Kivu province bordering Burundi. It should be noted that it is not the first time that Burundi was shutting its border with Rwanda. In 2015, its authorities closed borders to Rwanda due to political tensions, and then because of COVID-19. It took 7 years for them to reopen even though land crossings were never interrupted. In December, Bintou Keita, a UN special representative to DR Congo, warned the Security Council that tensions between Congo and Rwanda have escalated, heightening the risks of a military confrontation that could draw in Burundi. For Rwanda, the latest is yet another diplomatic tension after that of the DR Congo. In July 2023, the DR Congo's army said Rwanda forces crossed its border and attacked its frontier security forces, potentially escalating tensions between the Central African neighbors.
It is here that we draw the curtains on High Prime today. I've been Cynthia Lattery, thanking you for watching. We meet again on Monday with Larry Kelvin Getengening at the anchor. Many thanks for watching. Do have a blessed weekend in the company of programs on High Television.